Before the video gets started, I just wanted to apologize for the fact that the entire video uses camera audio. I actually got a new lav mic, but for some reason it just wasn't playing nice with the recorder that I was using, and I'm still working out some stuff with it. Either way, I really hope you enjoy this guide. I haven't made one before, so I would really appreciate feedback in the comments. And with that said, let's just get right into it.
Do you remember FireWire? If you were computer savvy in the 2000s, you might be very familiar with the cable standard, but you'd be surprised at how many people have seemingly forgotten about it or have just never heard of it in the first place. It was so poorly rolled out and tightly gatekept that it was only ever implemented in a fraction of the devices that it probably could have been implemented in. If you were big into 2000s cameras or early digital camcorders, you might be more familiar with its Sony equivalent, iLink, which is really what today's video is about. We're going to be walking through, literally, every single way I could conceive of or find to capture footage from DV tapes or record off of DV camcorders using FireWire in 2026, including methods that don't require daisy-chaining expensive and obsolete dongles. Most methods of capturing video from DV tapes and recording off of DV cameras require you collect all the pieces of Exodia and assemble them into this ridiculous Donglezilla monster. While this is a tested and reliable way to capture DV footage, this middle dongle that connects FireWire to Thunderbolt 2 is no longer manufactured. It can now only be bought on secondhand marketplaces, where it's currently going for close to $200 US, including shipping and taxes, a number that will only continue to rise as time goes on. In addition, the newest version of macOS, Tahoe, no longer supports FireWire connectivity at all, which means that you will not be able to use the dongle method on Macs running software made after 2026. If you needed another reason not to update to Liquid Ass, this is your sign. It's also worth mentioning that you can buy cables with an iLink connector on one end and a USB-A connector on the other end online. But please save your money, because these will not work for transferring DV footage to a computer or any data at all from DV camcorders. With that said, if you happen to own the dongles already, congratulations, or you know you definitely want to use the dongle method, you can skip to this part of the video where I show you how to use the dongle method for both Mac and Windows computers. If you don't want to spend the kind of money on a dongle that connects to completely obsolete cable standards, you're in the right place. The first and cheapest way to capture DV footage from tapes only, meaning you're not really interested in recording footage off the camcorder and you just want the data from the tapes onto a computer, is to go to the library. A lot of public libraries in the US offer free digitization and capture services. In San Diego alone, the Central Library, Rancho Bernardo Library, and La Jolla Library all have labs equipped with a wide range of capture equipment and digitization equipment, including for old and rare formats like zip disks, 8mm video, and Betamax. I have each of these libraries' media labs linked in the description below. If your local libraries don't have capture services, you can always check community college and university libraries or media labs. Even if you're not a student, call in and ask if they'd be willing to help capture your footage. There's a good chance they might just say yes. The second cheapest way is to use an old computer. Right now, you can go to eBay and buy an old Mac Mini with a FireWire port on the back for less than half the price of the most expensive dongle. It even comes with a disk drive. Many Macs made before 2012 have FireWire ports. Look for this icon or a port shaped like this or this on the back of the device, or double check the specifications online.
Quick pause before we move forward. Something to keep in mind is that before you buy the cable, make 100% sure you know what kind of FireWire port the old computer you're using has. There were three main types of FireWire inputs that computers came with. One was FireWire 400, which is hexagonally shaped. One was FireWire 800, which is sort of boxy. And the final one is FireWire 400 4-pin, which is just the iLink connector. All three of these cables can be bought online for pretty cheap. Just make sure you buy the right one before proceeding with the rest of this tutorial.
Any Mac from this era will be able to decode DV video natively, so if you have a Mac with a FireWire port, it's literally plug and play. All you'll need is a cable that connects iLink to full-size FireWire, and luckily these cables are readily available and really cheap to purchase online. Turn on your camcorder, load the tape, set it to playback mode. Then, before you play the video, connect the camcorder to the computer and launch QuickTime Player, which should come pre-installed on the computer. Start a new video recording and make sure to select DV camcorder for your source. Obviously, I'm not running a version of macOS from 2012 in this clip, but it should work almost exactly the same on that software. Now, all you have to do is start the recording on the computer and start playback on the camcorder. Once you're done, stop recording and save the video. Rinse and repeat as necessary. If you're running into problems with QuickTime, see the frequently asked questions for potential solutions. You can also use this old computer method with Windows and Linux. If you have an old laptop or pre-built lying around, check to see if it has a FireWire port built in. Many enterprise and prosumer laptops from the early 10s came with these ports. If the computer didn't come with a FireWire port, there are multiple ways to get one on there. If you have open PCIe slots on your motherboard, you can buy a PCIe FireWire card and install it. Alternatively, if you're really trying to save money and have an old tower PC lying around, check the motherboard for an IEEE 1394 header. You'd be surprised at how many motherboards actually came with them. It'll look like this and be marked with IEEE 1394 or just 1394. It probably won't say FireWire, as Apple kept that name pretty locked down. If your motherboard has the right header, you can buy a FireWire bracket on eBay for pennies and connect that way. Once you have FireWire connectivity, you can install the software. If you're using an old computer, I would suggest using Windows XP, which came with native support for the .dv video codec. This way, you won't need to install new packages or drivers just to get the computer to connect to the camcorder. Then, you can simply capture or record the footage with Windows Movie Maker, which should come pre-installed with Windows XP, or software like WinDV. Now, I've seen WinDV recommended on Reddit, but haven't personally used it, so I'll link a Reddit post which also contains more details about capturing DV footage with this method in the description. If you're using a newer version of Windows, you'll need to install drivers to capture DV footage. Scott Schramm has a very easy to follow video about how to do that using K-Lite Codec Pack Basic, and how to capture the footage once you've done that. I've linked it in the description as well. If you're using Linux, you can use DVGrab to get the video. I wish I could provide more help beyond that, but me trying to understand Linux is completely futile. I just know that it's possible with that software, and I'm pretty sure it only works on the command line. The next dongleless method is more involved and less recommended, but I'm including it here for those who may already have the necessary parts and just want the videos on a computer. Most DV camcorders had analog AV outputs, so you could hook the devices up to old TVs, or in the early days, record to VHS so you could share your home videos with friends and family on a format that was common in the home. This means you can capture the analog signal with an analog to digital recorder. The reason this isn't necessarily recommended is because you will lose quality in the process of going from digital to analog to digital. However, it won't be a very substantial quality loss, and depending on who you are and what camera you recorded on, you might not even notice. All you need is some kind of analog video recorder and your camcorder's analog output cable. Most camcorders either had this cursed 3.5mm jack to RCA output, or an S-video output, or both. Use the one that your camera and recorder both use, and capture the video with supported software. Luckily, both types of cables can still be cheaply purchased online as of the making of this video. But unfortunately, I have no idea what this type of cable is actually called. To buy one, I just googled 3.5 jack to RCA camcorder, and that gave me what I needed. If you know if this type of cable ever had an official name, please leave it in the comments below. The final dongleless method I could find was actually sent to me by a friend while I was writing this video. I'm not going to go into too much detail here because it involves using a Raspberry Pi and some specialized hardware, but if you're interested, go check out the Jeff Geerling video about it, which is linked below. The main advantage of this method is you can record directly to a microSD card, and the recording device is small enough that you could easily carry it with you while you're using the camera. And that's it for dongleless methods. Personally, I'm most partial to buying a Mac Mini, especially because it's so cheap right now, and you get a little brick that's also a computer, but I digress. Next, I'm going to be showing you some of the more common dongle methods. Methods of capturing DV footage with Donglezilla all work on the same principle. You need to somehow convert the information being sent over FireWire to something that a modern computer can understand. This involves going from your camcorder's output to FireWire, FireWire to Thunderbolt 2, and then Thunderbolt 2 to Thunderbolt 3. If you're using a Mac running macOS Sequoia or older, you can still use Donglezilla and pre-installed software to capture DV footage. No installs or updates required. If you're looking for the Windows tutorial, skip forward to this timestamp. Two things to note. If you're using a Mac that has Thunderbolt 2 ports, you can forego the Thunderbolt 3 adapter, and you'll also want to make sure your Mac actually supports Thunderbolt 3. This shouldn't be a problem for most people right now, as every single Apple Silicon Mac supports Thunderbolt, but I already know that the MacBook Neo is going to sell like hotcakes, and that computer notably does not support Thunderbolt. Assuming you have everything ready, assemble the pieces of Donglezilla and connect the camcorder to your computer. open QuickTime Player or your preferred recording software, assuming that it supports DV recording. Now select the camcorder as both your camera and, if necessary, your mic device. Next, navigate to the playback function on your camcorder. On mine, it's marked VCR. Fast forward or reverse to the desired position on the tape, begin recording on your computer, and press play on your camcorder. Save the file after you're done, and you should have a complete copy of your video, no quality loss. Incredibly, you can still capture footage from DV tapes while running Windows 10 or 11. It's just a more involved process. I would go into the details of how to do it here, but nothing I make could ever be better than this guide made by Scott Schramm. He's a tech YouTuber that does reviews and guides on specific stuff like capturing DV tapes, and the guides he makes are fantastic. His guide is linked in the description as well. And that's it for the guides portion of this video. I noticed while trying to capture my own DV tapes that a lot of these dongle-less methods go overlooked, so I really hope that this tutorial can be helpful to you guys and not too confusing. I'm going to go over some frequently asked questions now, but a transcript of all the facts will be available in the description of this video and the pinned comment. This was Device World. Thanks for watching. And also, I have a new video coming out soon about DV camcorders. Look forward to that in the next few weeks. 1. When capturing video from DV tape, QuickTime Player randomly stops and throws some kind of error. I've encountered this problem a few times while recording tapes with QuickTime, and I honestly have no idea what causes it. Some tapes seem to be more susceptible to this than others, but I haven't really been able to discern a pattern in what determines that. Luckily, there's a lot of options for capture software. I've found that DVRescue works the best and can still record tapes with this issue no problem. I've personally used that software on my M1 Mac, and the GUI is really easy to navigate and use. It can directly control the camera over FireWire, so all you have to do is plug the camera in VCR mode and go. 2. What other software can I use to capture this footage? You can also use iMovie or Final Cut to capture the footage directly from the camcorder. I'm using version 10.4.4 of iMovie and 11.2 of Final Cut, and I've tested both and confirmed that they work. For modern Windows, I would stick to DVRescue. 3. I want to save my videos in a more common format than .dv. Some recording software, such as DVRescue, may save your captured footage in the .dv file format, which is the native format for DV tapes. Most video players and editors should have no problems handling this file, but you can easily convert .dv videos to more common formats using software if you would like. In QuickTime, you can open your .dv video and press Command-S to save it as a .mov file. You can also use Handbrake or FFmpeg if you're a computer wizard to convert it to other formats like .mkv or .mp4. 4. VLC does not play nice with DV camcorders. I know. VLC is an incredible piece of software, and it's like my go-to app for video playback, but for some reason, it just doesn't play nice with DV cameras. In my testing, I found that it will capture footage and convert DV files, but something always breaks. All the footage I captured from the camera using VLC came out buggy and unwatchable with a lot of frame skips. And I've repeatedly run into problems with getting the software to include audio when converting .dv files to modern video formats. It's possible that I'm doing something wrong, but based on what I've seen online, this seems to be a fairly common issue, so I think I'm safe in assuming that it's something on the software side. Luckily, VLC developers are amazing and they do really good work, so maybe this will be fixed in the future. 5. My camera won't play back tapes. Yeah, unfortunately, DV camcorders are really getting up there in age, and like all miniaturized tape cassette devices, their internal mechanisms are tiny, fragile, and very prone to wear and tear. If your camera won't play tapes anymore, I would suggest seeing if your public library or local universities or colleges have media labs that will capture the footage from DV tapes for you. The only other method I can think of to capture the footage involves buying another camcorder or a DV tape deck. You can get ones that are guaranteed to work on online secondhand marketplaces, and if you're patient, you might be able to get one for cheap at a local thrift store. MiniDV was an incredibly popular format with high staying power back in the day, and old cameras show up in thrift stores more often than you might expect, so keep your eye out for them. Like, in the past couple weeks while I've been working on this video, I found like 2 or 3 DV camcorders just in thrift stores, so they're definitely around. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below, but that's the very, very end of the video. This was Device World, and thank you again.